would like to now go through the timeline of the program, which will show how we will go about it in the coming 3 months. We have a small presentation that we're going to make so that you know what this program entails. And also, if anybody has questions, please keep putting them in the chat box. We will take all the questions towards the end of the program once we've also listened to our three mentors. Manish, can we please start sharing the slides?
Yes, Ruby. Immediately. It's come up on your screen now?
Yes, we can see it. We can start with slide 1, which basically says step 1, which is our session today, which is an introductory session to tell you what the program is about. And after I have done with my presentation, the three mentors will do a short 20-25 minutes mentoring session on how to present your startup ideas, which will be your step 1 for now. Manish, if we can go to step 2, please. Yeah, so step 2 will basically start soon after we finish our inaugural session. We are expecting that all of you will either form teams or decide on submitting your proposals individually. But first thing we need is by the 15th of January, a decision on whether you're making teams. If you're making teams, then we need details of the teams for which we will circulate a form afterwards. We will also need a short write-up on what your startup concept will be in about 1,000 words. So all of these forms, whatever undertaking, everything we need you to fill, we will circulate it soon after this program, and you will have time till the 15th of January to decide on the subject you want to present on. So that will be our step 2, which we plan to finish by the 15th of January. Manish, can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So after we have got the submissions from everyone, we are going to do a small screening process based on the numbers of entries that we get and based on the ideas that are submitted. Then the selected ideas will be clubbed together, which will be depending on the sector that the idea belongs to. So ideas, 2-3 ideas of a similar sector will be put together in one mentorship session. And that is where our mentors will come in. They will hear out each of those ideas after we have announced a schedule. The mentors will listen to those ideas, listen to those presentations, and give their comments and views. We will also try that when we're doing these sessions where we've clubbed certain ideas, so if we can get a guest mentor to come from the sector where the idea, sector to which the idea belongs. So that will also be an attempt we are going to make. And this is something we are scheduling around the first week of February, probably will go on through the month of February. So on step 4 will be that we're going to select, that is our mentors, the 3 of them. They will select top 5 shortlisted ideas. Then they will also sit down to one-on-one sessions with each of these top 5 selected teams or individuals. They will again be given further feedback on how they can improve their presentations further. And once the teams have incorporated all of that, the top 5 teams will submit their entries again. Which brings us to our step 5 in the month of March. So the 5 top selected ideas will be sent to Mukul, who will be our judge, Mukul Dhyani. He is going to then go through the ideas, go through the presentations, and decide on top 3 prizes, which we plan to announce sometime in the month of March 2021. Brings us to our last step. Yes, so we're thinking by the month of April, probably all of this will be done. We will be announcing the prizes, and that is where the Consulate will also come in and DPIIT from India will come in. We're going to try to send the top select 3 ideas to corporate houses, relevant corporate houses. Consulate here will try to send them to corporate houses in Germany, and DPIIT will send it, Startup India will send it to corporate houses in India, and then we'd let the corporate houses decide if they would want to sponsor any of these ideas. So this is in a nutshell what we are planning to do, and I'm sure all of the students will have a lot of questions. So as I said, you can put them in the chat box. We'll try to come back to the questions. And once we start sending you out the forms, the undertaking, the format that has to be filled, you will have more clarity on what is to be done next. So thank you for sharing the presentation. We will now have a short mentorship session with our three mentors. I will just introduce them to everybody. So we have Mr. Pinaki Ray. He's Senior Director, Business Technology Platform,
Yeah,
Middle
able to
East
see
in
Pinaki,
Europe.
it seems.
Pinaki, can you unmute yourself and say hello to everyone so we can see you?
Yes. Am I audible now?
You audible?
Yeah, but we can't see you.
Oh, just a second. Let me start my video.
Oh, yes.
Am I visible now?
Ruby, if we can also ask other participants who have participated all the entrants as well, if they can also on their video, it will be a very interactive one then, right?
Yes, and Manish, maybe if you close the presentation, then we'd be able to see more panels on our display screen.
Sure. I will just stop the sharing right now. So
Yes, thank you.
then I think now, Ari, is it
Uh,
back?
It'll probably take a minute, but we can still see the presentation. It's not closed. Yeah, now it's done.
Yeah.
Pinaki, so can you say hello again? So everyone.
Of course, yes. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. I am Pinaki Ray. I'm with SAP in the capacity of Senior Director. What I do is I am responsible for generating business, creating demand for the set of solutions that we from SAP offer to our customers. I have been in Germany for roughly 17, 18 years, and there has been a marked change in the way the German market perceives and looks at Indian, let's say, candidature. And this exercise is essentially, it's an exercise where we want to ensure that students who have started their, let's say, journey in Germany and want to pursue a career in Germany take it a notch above in terms of professionalism, in terms of the knowledge, in terms of their approach towards the industry. Further to Manish and Sandeep.
Yes. Manish,
Hello.
would you like to introduce yourself? Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Can you hear me? Yeah. Hello, Manish. I am in Nestle. So I'm working in statistical forecasting in the area of big data, data-driven processes in the Nestle supply chain for the last 15 years. I come from Kanpur in India. Yeah, I have done my engineering and management studies, and then for a long time I've been here in Germany. So I can only add to what Pinaki shared. Yeah, we see a very, very positive feedback in the industry for the Indian for the Indians who are working in the industry here in Germany, and we just want to share our experiences with the community. And I mean the support together in the Indian community, how the Indian students can then come up in the industry. Yeah, and startup being one of the ways to go forward with that.
Thank you, Manish. I'll request Sandeep also to introduce himself, and in the meanwhile, if the others can please mute themselves, that'll be very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everyone. I am Sandeep Chaudhary. I have been in Germany since 2000, having worked in a number of different companies like IBM, Schlumberger, and now with SAP for last 3 years. In SAP, I am responsible for global business of the customer experience line of products in the telecommunications industry. Yes, I'm looking forward to this initiative very much. I have a college-going son, and I can understand some of the challenges all of you are facing in this critical time. And I'm definitely looking forward to connect to the extended Indian community. Thanks a lot. Giving it over back to Consulate.
Thank you, Sandeep. We're going to have now a mentorship session with our three mentors, and I think Manish, if you can take the lead and start showing the presentations, I think all three of you can then go ahead.
Yes, yeah. So I'm sharing the presentation back. So we will just now further go forward with the mentorship session. So basically, the session is consisting of what is it in for the students and how the pitch has to be structured. I just handed over to Pinaki to start.
Superb. Thanks, Manish. So, a warm welcome again to all the students, and thanks for registering for this particular exercise. Now, you must be asking, what is in it for me, and why should I participate? Why should I invest energy into this program? The first and the foremost reason is that you get a platform to exhibit your knowledge and to exhibit a brilliant idea that you come up with to a wider audience. So the Consulate General is meeting a number of industry leaders. He's meeting a number of top firms. This has been going on for a while. And we can actually use this platform in order to provide you the launch pad to go forward and basically present what you are working on, what you're learning, and put that into practice. We also want to see you guys as entrepreneurs or intrapreneurs, which means that we want to see a level of, let's say, for the lack of a better word, a startup mindset, a go-getter mindset. You need to understand how can I come up with a great idea. It may not be the best idea, but it has to be a great idea which you can execute, which you can synthesize, you can validate, and then go forward. We will touch upon that in the next slide. As students, you need to also target the top team recognition. And I see a couple of questions in the chat already. Do we need to form a team and so on? So I think that is a very important question, and I'll touch upon that in the next slide. As I mentioned during the introduction session, we want you students to attain a level of professional approach, which you probably bring with the experience that you've had so far. But at the same time, a number of us who've been in the industry, who have spent time working in Germany, we do understand the nature of, let's say, the market, the industry expectations, and we would like to prepare yourselves in order to start your journey, provided you want to pursue your career in Germany. All right, so that's basically, in a nutshell, what is it for you and why you should participate in this particular program. So if we go to the next slide. So if you think about organizing your pitch or start to think about the startup approach. Now, number one and the most important aspect is the team. So we understand that most of you are, let's say, your team consists of one person at the moment, but you may have to understand that there could be, let's say, a good team would be, let's say, a combination of 3 people. So the first person necessarily has to have an idea around what is the vision, which means that what is the problem that you're trying to address, and you have to go, and there is an iterative loop around what the problem could be. So you have to validate the problem. You have to understand whether the problem really exists, and if it exists, what can I do with that problem? So that is the first person as part of the team. The second person would be somebody who can conceptualize and build a solution around that problem, which means that you've understood who is going to be the taker of that particular solution. Is there a market for that solution? Is the market willing to pay for that solution or solution, product, service, and so on? So that is the second person who has to kind of help you with conceptualizing and building a service or a product. And the third person would be the person who should put forward a business case, which essentially means numbers. So you need to understand if this particular service is being offered to the marketplace, or if there's a product which is being offered to the marketplace, how can I launch this product to beta customers? I mean, I can offer it for €1 with the promise that when I actually start offering it to the wider audience, to the wider market, it's going to be probably available for €10 or €20 or whatever. So you need to kind of understand who the team is. And it is very important because between the 3 of you, between the 2 of you, you have to undergo the cyclic validation step. No startup idea has started with one single idea and consequently reached a conclusion with that single idea. It has always undergone a level of refinement. It has undergone a level of validation. You may start with an idea only to realize that you've reached a stumbling block wherein there is either the market is not prepared for that solution, or the market is not willing to pay, or your solution is not really what the market needs. So this is an exercise that is going to be iterative in nature, and that's the reason why you need the team. The second aspect is numbers. You have to understand that what is the market that you are addressing. Is the market ready for your product or your service? And you need to understand who's the customer base. Is the customer base willing to pay for your service? Is the customer base willing to pay for the product? And then there has to be numbers in using which you can start the idea. You have to look at certain beta customers who you can offer the service or the product. And then you have to understand, how can I scale this going forward? How can I scale this both from making the service or the product available, as well as reaching out to the wider marketplace. What we from the mentors, let's say, side want to see is a pitch, an elevator pitch, which essentially tells us what is the core value of your product or your service, what is the problem that you're trying to address, how is it different. Now, there has been times when I have spoken to a couple of people. They have come to me with ideas only to realize that it has been done already by somebody. So one great idea, it may so happen that there are, let's say, a bunch of people who are actually working on that idea already, and they're close to getting to a minimum viable product, which could be rolled out beta customers and so on. So you have to understand that your idea needs to be, let's say, if not a completely a new idea, it has to be a good idea, which allows you to position yourself as one of the best teams that we can look at. Also very important is to have a minimum viable product. So what that means is, if you have a service or if you have a product, we would like to see whether that particular product is something that can be rolled out to the marketplace, right? So that is briefly, in a nutshell, what your startup pitch or what your startup idea needs to have in terms of not only the idea but the team, as well as who need to constitute the team, as well as what you need to deliver. If we go to the next slide. So most of you may know who this guy is. So this guy is Steve Ballmer. He used to be the CEO of Microsoft, and he really said that the iPhone will never have any market share. There was no chance, because it seems business users would never adopt a phone which did not have a keypad, and he was so wrong. So what happened? iPhone, or Apple for that matter, they executed the product as well as the notion of the marketplace around the device to the spot. So execution matters. So if you have a brilliant idea, or if you have a good idea, and if you execute it to the best of your capability on the spot, then you really have a chance. So in order to put that into perspective, why execution matters, I will hand it over to Sandeep and Manish, who will help you understand the tools and the methodologies available, and we will provide that to you as tools, so that you can go about understanding how to structure your idea and how to validate them as you go along. All right, so over to Sandeep. Thanks.
Yes, thanks, Pinaki. So Pinaki mentioned about iPhone, and I will start with the bulb, because what is iPhone in our generation was bulb to the previous generation of inventors. And if you look very closely, the guy who invented it, Edison, he was not really an inventor. He was more like Elon Musk, to put together the ideas, to present them, get the investment done. And that is what we want you to go forward. So what we want to do here is to encourage you to think in a relatively unstructured way, but also to present your ideas in such a way that people who are not close to your thinking are able to understand it and benefit from it. So we will definitely like to use some of the tools which are in public domain, because you as students, you need to work with things which are publicly available. We don't expect you to work with complex methodologies which people in our companies would normally use. So definitely think at this stage, No, let's go forward.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is very important when you put together your idea is actually two different things. So people who don't know you would evaluate your ideas from two different dimensions. So of course the idea is important, commercial viability. I mean, that is all going feeding into the business case in the proposal. What is also important is the team. And the team has two dimensions. One is you as an individual. Do you have the right skills for the ideas which you are proposing? I would not be proposing a idea in biotechnology. People I would not have credibility to do that. So what kind of skills you bring on the table? What kind of energy level you bring together as a team? I mean, are you able to persist with your idea? So that's an important dimension. But at this stage, since we are requesting you for your submission on the idea itself and in a relatively unstructured way, so there are a number of things we want you to look at when you present your idea. So let's go to the next slide, Manish. Yeah. So an interesting checklist of how you should put together your idea comes from Princeton. And they have put together a kind of checklist, and that goes into various dimensions. So when you write your freestanding essay on the idea itself, there are still a number of questions which you need to ask yourself. Whether it's the right time to present your idea, how the implementation would work like. Eventually, we would like to see you develop a prototype. I mean, that's the best way to understand the ideas which you come up with. And have you ever considered it? How easy would it be for you to build a prototype, to show the idea working in a relatively simple way, put together a simple use case around the idea? So this kind of evaluation checklist should definitely help you to ask yourself the right questions. So moving to the next slide. So then when you put together your ideas, you start a business, you are founder of a business, and there is a certain way or to understand how businesses work. So business model canvas is one of the most widely used tool to understand how businesses would function. So this is actually defined as a kind of ontology of a business. So I will not go into deep details about how the business model canvas and its various components are. But this is the way to structure your business argument when you present it to venture capital tomorrow. And this is something which you should put together as a team. But these are the kind of questions everyone is going to ask you about. What are the customer segments you are addressing? What is the cost structure you are targeting? What are kind of revenue streams you expect to address with your business idea? Because people eventually want to see a return on investment. And this kind of a structured argument would go a long way towards that. Then moving over to the final slide, Manish. Finally, the value proposition canvas, it also comes from the same company, Strategizer. It also provides a different dimension. So it's an outside-in approach. So you look at your customers, you see what are their pains, what are the gains, what are the gains they are likely to make, and what kind of processes or what kind of jobs they do. And then you try to reflect back and try to see what your product goes towards that, how it helps the customer address their pains, or how it helps them to meet their gains or the business objectives, and how your products and services would gel in well with the type of processes which they have behind, which they are working on. So you don't need to use all of these ideas. We expect you to think in an unstructured way, but eventually just remember that people who are not close to your idea, they need to understand in a specific way, and they will have certain specific questions to ask you, to evaluate you. And it is this point I would like to hand it over to Mukul.
So this was a short introduction to how the pitch can be structured. I'm Manish still. The presentation slides are now over. Yeah. At the end, of course, with the document that you are preparing, 1,000-word document on the idea. At the end, when the final submissions are done, we would also definitely also suggest that it is crisp. It is made in a video, and it is telling your story precisely, and telling the market, the customer, the financials, and your product demo. Yeah, focus on your strengths in the pitch. Yeah, I hand over to Mukul to say a few words on how you see the judge will come and how the pitch will be finally be judged.
Before Mukul speaks, Manish, I'll take a quick minute to introduce Mukul to our participants. So, Mr. Mukul Dhani is Senior Vice President and Business Head for Continental Europe for Tech Mahindra. He has had 20 years of professional experience spanning across 5 European countries. He's worked in Singapore and the US before. He's also held leadership roles at Wipro and Infosys before this. Mukul has recently taken over as head of Continental Europe for Tech Mahindra. He has a BTech in Computer Science from Kuvempu University in Karnataka, and MBA from Helsinki School of Economics in Finland, and also executive management courses he's done at Stanford University and Rotterdam School of Management. Mukul, thank you for agreeing to become the judge for this program. We request you to speak, and as we mentioned in the beginning, I think what the participants would want to know is what are your expectations from them when they do their presentations on the startup ideas.
Yes, Ruby, I have like 5 to 8 minutes, right?
Yeah, yes, Mukul.
So good afternoon, everyone, and many thanks for your introductory words as well. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Ruby. And we are going with first names given the nature of startup ecosystem that we are trying to build in here. So thank you, and also to the mentors, all three of them. And in fact, I would like to thank Sandeep, you, Pinaki, and Manish for coming up with this brilliant idea together with our Consul General and Consul Ruby. I think it's a very good opportunity. And if I recall back on my days when I started my career in non-English speaking continental Europe, and this is like 21 years back, I can recall being in one of your shoes, right? Either graduating from a college or trying to figure out on what to do next. And I think this is a journey which can take you to actually do your own job, or explore your own entrepreneurship mode, or actually you can in fact take a different mode and probably apply for a jobs and do that job. But what is extremely important is that participating in such an opportunity gives you a very good perspective of any business plan that can be executed. So from a startup perspective, when I was requested to be a judge for this initiative, I was honestly thrilled because most of my experience has been with quite experienced folks, either being part of different startups that we do as part of this ecosystem. I've been very fortunate to work with several of those who have now launched their IPOs, primarily in the US and in Israel. One thing more that is happening as we speak is that there is a lot of money now that people are ready to put with new startups. There's a lot of seed money available in the market. Even at the MVP stage, there is a lot of money available to your ideas and to your execution capability. So you don't have to go to banks, or you don't have to bootstrap some of your ideas in the early being, right? So I thank the mentors in terms of at least putting a very nice framework and a very clear articulation in terms of what they would expect you to present back to them. I would only build on top of it on some of the things that I have seen personally working out very well for the entrepreneurs at different stages. So one of the things is very clearly the drive and the passion part of it. So if you have a drive, if you're passionate about this idea, if you can actually not sleep in the night with that idea, right? So it's like always working on how I can execute that idea. And that has to be backed with a solid research. So nothing, even if the idea is brilliant, but you don't have a market viability of that product, it's not going to work, right? So you need to have a solid research. The second part of it is, as the mentors have also told you, is the team part, right? So the team becomes extremely important. In fact, if you look at a lot of those VCs who put the money, right, or even early seed investors who put the money, or angel investors who put the money on your idea or on you, it is early stages, it's all about the team. If somebody is really convinced that you as a team can deliver, not as an individual, but as a team can deliver, they put the money with you. Very rarely it is seen that an individual is able to pull it off, because to anybody who puts in his money, that's also considered as a risk. And it's not considered as a very collaborative environment. From my perspective, I would even give extra marks if you have quite a bit of diversity of ideas, of people, right? So that will be extremely important as well. But very important is the team part. Third part is learnability. So I think as you work in these teams, you will also understand and look for that how compatible you are with one another, right? So the extreme teamwork, collaboration, clear demarcation of who's doing what, who's responsible for what, becomes extremely important in your execution, right? The other parts is that, whatever you start with, you will never end up with the same thing. It may have a different shape and form. There are numerous examples that you can go ahead with, right? Airbnb started with focusing more on breakfast than actually the Airbnb we know them for, right? And one of the investors who put the money the reason he put the money was because how brilliantly people were able to sell the conflicts, right, in different level with McCain and the democratic symbols that they could put on top of those conflicts or the cereals as they call it, right? Of course, the last one is whatever idea you put in, it should be scalable. So when you present it, when you articulate your idea, it has to be well researched. It should be something, mostly if you have a working model, if you have an MVP, most viable product, that you have experimented with, that you have had some feedback on, that's very, very important for it to mature or somebody to take a decision on. It has to make money, and most important, it should be scalable. And in fact, this scalability is so important to the idea that it's not just true for startup. In most of the businesses that we set up, if one of the managers comes to me and tells me that I want to set up a new country completely, and we will focus on these service lines, these products in that country, my first question to him is, how much of a business scalability can you provide here? Can you replicate, or this is one-time idea, right? So these are some of the things that are extremely important. And I would seriously do what I have learned from people over the time. And one of the things I learned is from Mr. Premji, the ex-chairman of Wipro and the founder of Wipro. And one of the things he keeps saying is that no human is perfect, and you need to keep learning from different ideas and noting down in a piece of paper, right? So, and in fact, he used to stop his interviews, or he used to stop his conversations with people if they were not there with a pen and paper. So, so whatever the mentors have told you today, I think it's extremely important, or whatever feedback they give you as the course goes by, take it extremely, extremely in a very important way, right? Take it, note it down, try to debate it, because this is coming out of a good amount of years of experience that they bring in, right? Last but not the least, I think it's a good opportunity from a Indian student's perspective. When we started, or when I started my career in Europe, and most of it has been in client-facing or in extremely customer-facing situations, we used to actually have a first slide, and that first slide used to talk about India and trying to make people locate where the Bangalore is or where New Delhi is. And fast forward today, in fact, some of my customers or some of the gentlemen who are your mentors actually sit on the other side of the table, and you have a lot of Indian diaspora who are at the leadership positions in different companies and different other establishments across Europe. So from an opportunity perspective, I think it's a great time, great opportunity to be an entrepreneur. COVID is or no COVID, I think more and more growth opportunities are there. And many of you who you have applied here, don't worry about your IP, don't worry about your idea. No idea is unique. You throw up an idea, trust me, there are at least 50 different people working on that idea. It's how you plan to execute it will make a difference ultimately, right? And we are open for feedback and try utilizing this forum for you to make some success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mukul.
Thank you. Thank you, Mukul. This was very useful, and I'm sure all our participants have benefited from what the mentors and what you also just shared. Manish, I assume there are questions in the chat box. If you'd like to take them amongst
Yes.
the few.
Right, yeah. So I will start. There are quite a lot of questions here. So I'll try to segregate them together on the particular topic. Yeah. So the very first thing is the administrative one. Do we get the copy of the slides? Can we share the timeline? So yes, of course. Yeah. So Ruby, can you
Yes.
share?
Absolutely. So when we email the rest of the stuff to everyone, we will share all the slides also today. We also plan to put this on YouTube, and we will share a link of the video on the YouTube also.
Okay. One quite a significant question. Are those ideas we share here will be IPM protected? Can you say something on
Yeah.
that?
So we are going to come to this. Actually, we're going to get everyone to sign an undertaking wherein you agree that the idea you are sharing is being shared on a public platform. So the question of IPR will not arise. So this is something which every participant will have to agree that once they have shared the idea, then it is out there in public domain, and they cannot expect or hold anybody liable for on intellectual property reasons. Also, as Consul General had explained in the beginning, this is a very non-commercial initiative done only out of goodwill, only out of this whole endeavor to help everybody. So I think the participants will also have to enter the program with these thoughts in mind.
Okay. Thank you, Ruby. Going further on the questions, some on the team related questions. So the very first question would be, are we supposed to form teams with the people who have registered for this challenge?
Yeah, so if I may answer, so as I had mentioned, there can be individuals or there can be teams. Both kinds of entries are okay. You need not have teams only with people who have attended the inaugural session today. New people can also join in, but ultimately everybody, each team member will have to register. So by the 15th of January, we will need details of every team member.
Yeah. Another question was from a person from Avishka. How many ideas one team or one person can present?
So I'd let our mentors take a call on that. Yeah.
Well, I would say well, like we are you can present as many as you want. Yeah. You what Mukul, what Pinaki, what Sandeep, we all have shared is you have to definitely please do a deep research. Yeah, you have to have a passion behind the idea. You have to show with a, I mean, not necessarily a most viable product should be available, but if it is there, it's an important thing. Yeah, so with this in background, you are open to share as many ideas you can. Yeah, I can say that for
Yes.
in on behalf of Pinaki and Sandeep also.
Yes, I'm fine with that, Manish. Except that, I will definitely like you to pay attention to what Mukul said, that whatever you present has to be with deep research. So if you present 3 ideas, all of them have to be with a significant research. I think that's what we will definitely expect you to do.
Yeah.
And I just to add to that, I mean, so every time you present the idea, every time you basically come to the mentorship session, it may so happen that the initial idea is, let's say, for the lack of a better word, it's rejected. Now, please don't take that as a failure. It's basically, it's not a setback. It's just a level of validation, so that you can go back and then you can validate the idea, validate your assumptions, validate your numbers and your research. So, and that will require tons of work, which means that you will really need to focus on one great idea, one single idea. Of course, you can do that for n number of ideas that you may choose to submit. But then I would suggest you focus your energies on one single idea that you passionately believe in.
Okay, then going further on some team related points. One, can my team have a minor? Ruby, you have a specific thoughts on that?
I doubt very much because the event is open for people who are studying in colleges and universities. So I doubt this. I don't think anybody under 18 would be then eligible.
Yeah, so I think let's keep that way. Yeah, so let's not keep minors in the teams. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's okay. Then I'll take the next question on the team.
I have a view.
Okay.
Share it now. Yeah.
No, what I feel is we know. I mean, there could be child prodigies, and some of them might have an idea. So I would not like to discourage. The only thing is that a minor applying in individual capacity is something which I would like to avoid. If a person is part of the team, that's okay. I'm entirely left to the team members. Of course, the thing is, as Ruby has already said, that it will be more like an exception, which the mentors and the judge, of course, when they evaluate, they can take a call. I think if it's a very good idea, definitely, I think ideas are always welcome and irrespective of age. So personally, from the consulate point of view, I would say that we'll not have any reservations. We'll leave it for the mentors and the judge to decide. If it's a good idea, they would like to select it, it's perfectly fine.
Okay, then I think then for mentors, I can also say that yeah, we will also have no reservations for that. Yeah, I think we can go with your proposal, Amit. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Then one question, this has to be clarified. Vaibhav, he says, I was a student here from last few years. I started working in Germany itself. May I still participate? My aim is to get technical and legal support. So, I mean, the first question would be, what kind of technical legal support you're looking for, Vaibhav?
Weber, if you can switch on your camera and your mic also.
Yeah,
Oh, we don't see.
maybe he can send the query separately. We'll take
Hanji, sir.
a look at it.
Weber, maybe you can email the query to us. You have the email ID from which we were doing our correspondences. So we will get back to you on this.
Yeah. Okay. Then further one, does the team member has to be in Germany? And are we focusing on European market or Indian market? So team members has to be in Germany. I think that's what we said.
Yes. So the team members have to be in Germany, but the market that they're looking at, I think we can leave it open to them.
Yes.
Because that will depend very much on what kind of idea or product they are promoting.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So I think the idea can be open for the whole world. Yeah. And Indian market is also, I mean, welcome, very welcome. But the members have to be in Germany. Yeah. Can a non-Indian be a part of the idea generation? This I can say on your behalf. Yes, that's not a problem, right? Yeah, Amit?
That's
True.
Yeah. Okay, then just a few days back, I finished my master's. I hope I can still be eligible to participate. So I think
Yes, of course.
if we allow minors, we don't discourage the professionals.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Let me go through one further. Okay, can we get a list of participants and their interests so that we can contact them in future to team up? Yes, of course, we'll do that. Yeah. So at the end of the session, the slides, the forms, the participant list can be shared. Yeah. Thank you to mentors. Yeah, thanks a lot. Looking forward to work with you all. Yeah, okay, then minute. Yeah, that's all answered. Yeah, yeah.
If I may
Ruby?
just add, we had sent this form to all our participants saying that if you're okay with, you're willing to share your contact details with other participants. So I will request everybody to, because we did not hear from everybody on that. So I think only once we get a response from people, so only those contact details we can share once they have explicitly agreed to share their contact details. So perhaps as a first round, I can just share that form again, and when we get an okay from people, then we start exchanging the contact details.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So request you all please give your consent to the consulate before we can share your contacts to the rest of the group. Yeah. Okay. There was another question again. What if we have one member from India and other two from Germany? Are we still eligible? I understand that I think all the members needs to be from Germany. Yeah, Ruby, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that is what was decided, Manish. I believe we expect
Yeah.
all members to be in Germany.
Yeah.
If I may intervene here, these kind of work requires quite a lot of face-to-face interaction. I mean, at this point of time, we don't foresee that because of COVID. I mean, we will continue virtually for quite some time. But in my experience, the two slides which I showed in the last business model canvas or value proposition, these do require quite a lot of intense work where the teams are facing each other, and I don't think that can work so well remotely. That's my experience.
I think I agree with what Sandeep says. So,
Yeah.
preference would be that people should be from Germany. They should be based in
Yes,
Germany
yes.
because the initiative was also meant for the students based in Germany, though we are extending and making it broader. But I think presence in Germany would be
Yes.
necessary.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There is one administrative question. Contact point if we get any doubt. So let me start. Maybe Ruby, you can add on that. So I think till the time the registrations are submitted, forms are submitted, and ratings are submitted, the point of contact will be in this case Ruby through you.
Yeah, Manish, so there is already a Gmail ID which we're using from which we've done all our correspondences. So we'll continue to do the correspondence from that ID and expect everyone to use that ID as the contact point.
Yeah. And once it is done and registrations
Yeah.
are through, and after that, the mentors will come after the process has been completed from the consulate side, and then you will get in touch with the mentors for preparation of the pitch.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I think there is, let me check if there is something still remaining. Okay, I'm just reading through. It's a big sentence. Sai Prakash saying it would be a nice idea if you can create a LinkedIn group or Slack channel after finalizing the participants. There can be a common things that all participants can benefit, such a good suggestion about business model, canvas, or tips. It's an idea. So
It's a good idea, Manish. In fact, once we get a consent from everybody to share their contact details, then anyways, we were thinking of forming some sort of group. So we can form a group and then let the participants decide amongst themselves and kind of not continue to get involved in the group after that.
yeah, okay. Will we get any participation certificate? A question.
Yeah, it can be given.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
There's a question from Vinay. I think Vinay, you need to explain. The question is: need the clarity on timelines and deadlines. So, I mean, it was shared with from Ruby, quite detailed one. So, what more is needed? Can you say something?
Manish, I think they're on mute. It is difficult to identify.
Yeah.
the-
Okay. Okay.
Maybe they
Sorry.
can send
Yes.
to us the query
Yeah, but any
email.
case, so we will share the timeline with everybody
Yes,
on
yes.
email.
And even after that, in case they have any query, they can
Yes.
always write to us and
Yes.
we'll respond.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I think there's another question coming up. can we say that there is no age restriction for team members? Should team member be only student? No, I think that is clear. It is not. There is no restriction on that, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as it's not a newborn child.
Yeah. There is another question. Sir, in this pandemic situation, I am in India. Well, I think that's not a problem. I think that what was meant was that you are registered in Germany, or either you are a student in Germany or you are working in Germany. If you are in India because of any reasons, that is not a constraint.
That's correct. Yeah, that's correct, Manish.
Yeah. Okay, I think my list is through. If somebody, if I have by chance missed some question, please can you write it down once again so I'm at the bottom of the list, I can pick it up.
Manish, what we can do is in the meanwhile, we can hear from our representative from DPIIT. And after that, we will come back again and see if there are some remaining questions. We'll take them again, and that will give people time to also write down if they have any questions.
Sure, good idea.
Yes. So we have with us Mr. Sarabjit Singh. He is Assistant Product Manager, Startup India. Sarabjit is going to tell us about DPIIT's role, Startup India's role in this whole initiative and how they will come in, especially once the final selections are made. Sarabjit, please, if you can brief everybody.
Thank you so much. First of all, many congratulations to the entire team from CGI Frankfurt working towards the startup challenge. And here at DPIIT, we feel that such innovation, such innovators are anyway less in number. Whenever you give them chance to come up with solutions, I think there will be a plethora of them coming up, addressing any number of problem statements that you put forward to them. So if you give a little context to it, that when last year in November, Chancellor Merkel met Prime Minister Modi here in Delhi, the joint declaration of intent for startups was kick-started. And clearly that laid out the intent between the two nations for clearly laying out a bridge, to put it into perspective, that gives meaning to the entrepreneurial ecosystems of both the countries and clearly laying out players who will be undertaking this baton of providing opportunities to students, to entrepreneurs, and to other startups or the successful stages more without taking, of course, hoping session has been quite meaningful for the students as well. Quite an amazing line of mentors that we have who will definitely, give all of them, all of their expertise to the students to continue with their journey. And of course, DPIIT's intent is to share the shortlisted star solutions with the market here, with the willing corporates here, as well as the other ecosystem players that we are in touch with, whether we talk about relevant government entities or for that matter, state and center registered incubators. And we'll share the solutions, hoping for them to pick up and continue with their fostering and with their propagation further. So thank you so much. We are definitely all the way supporting CGI and the mentors and the students as well in this journey, and hoping for some really amazing solutions to come forward and for their propagation further. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sarabjit. And we're very happy that DPIIT is also promising to at least try make the best effort to share the selected ideas with corporate houses in India. If something does come through any sort of sponsorship, then that's excellent. But we're happy that they're also going to help the consulate in this small endeavor. Manish, are there more questions do you think we should take?
No, there is no further question that has come up after that.
Okay. I think Consulate General wants to make some remarks. I'll request Sir to share something.
Thank you, Ruby. And basically just a few points which I thought I'll clarify from the consulate's side so that there's no doubt or confusion in anybody's mind. Firstly, so far as the participation of minors is concerned, I mean, what I said was basically that we don't discourage people from participation in case somebody has a fantastic idea and elder brother, elder sister, parent, somebody is also part of that group and proposing that. We from the consulate will not have any reservation. But as I said, that so far as the evaluation of the idea is concerned, it's entirely the mentor's discretion. They may find an idea interesting and they may recommend that it's a fantastic idea, and just because there is a minor we should not reject it, we will accept that. So that is basically the clarification I thought I'll give it from my side, so that everyone is clear that so far as participation of minors is concerned, it's not we are not opposed to it, but the decision whether to accept that participation, nomination, idea is entirely for the mentors. It's their discretion based on their own judgment. Then other than that, I would also like to clarify that this is probably from the consulate in Frankfurt point of view, the first such initiative where we are starting a startup challenge. So there could be some teething trouble in terms of sometimes there may not be a particular thing which is amply clear or something. We welcome your feedback. We welcome your suggestions to fine tune it. And during the process till I think 15th of January, when we are going to have the selection of the finalists. We welcome any suggestions, any ideas, feedback that you might have. The other thing I would also like to clarify is that this is, for some reason, if it so happens that you are not able to participate for some reason or the other, this is not going to be the last such opportunity, in a sense that we intend to, of course, do it on a regular basis, because if the students find it useful, we will definitely continue with it. I think interestingly, we also got some kind of response that the spouses are also interested. It's really heartening to know that something which we were planning for students, it has found broader acceptance and there's broader interest. So we do not foresee any reason why we cannot do it again. But as I said, for the time being, we are doing it for the students as such. And later on, if and when we get the opportunity, probably we'll have a second edition of the Startup Challenge and we'll broaden the scope to include others who, for some reason or the other, we are not able to include in the present set of competition that we have announced. Last but not the least, I would also like to emphasize, all of you may have doubts about intellectual properties, all those things, legal challenges and all that. I would like to emphasize once again that we at the consulate look at it from an outreach point of view. It is important for us to reach out and to provide some kind of solution, some kind of opportunity for the talent that our student community has, and to provide them a platform. So therefore, we are not looking at it from commercial point of view or from intellectual property point of view. That is not our intention. This is not a commercial venture. This is not something which we are doing in terms of guaranteeing any kind of, I would say, outcome, but to provide an opportunity like any other initiative which the consulate normally undertakes. Say, for example, artists performing, musicians, or anyone. You would have seen many of such initiatives the consulate keeps on undertaking. So we look at it from the outreach point of view. And I would also request that the participants look at it from that aspect, take it positively, and we are really looking forward to your participation, because we ourselves also feel encouraged when we see that the students are finding it useful in some way or the other. So that is something which I thought I'll emphasize from my side once again, because we got some queries about IPR and other issues. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So if Manish, Sandeep, Pinaki, Mukul, if there's nothing more to add, then we can sign off.
There is a
Yes.
There is a couple of things that have come up in the question, so I will just pick those up. Yeah, just the two of them. One is, I'm based on Portugal and I saw this through my friend. Can I attend the sessions? So I think basically, if you are part of Germany, so in the sense that you are a student in Germany, registered in Germany, working in Germany, if you are based in Portugal, but you are basically of Germany or from Germany, Indian, then you can of course register and then you can attend also. Yeah, if your idea is coming through to the next level. Yeah. Then there is one last one, which is from Ram Kumar. I appreciate the consulate interest in such initiative, though they are not their primary role. Thank you for the community development. I think that's a good way to close the meeting.
Thank you.
No, thank you. In fact, we should be thanking our mentors and Judge. You've got really involved in the program and helped us design it. And there's going to be more and more participation from the four of you. So we are thankful to our mentors for helping us in taking this.
Thank you to both of you and the participants as well. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay.
Everybody, thanks for joining.